The rain hammered against the window of apartment 2B like fate itself was knocking, insistent and unforgiving. Noah Bennett sat frozen on the edge of the worn-out sofa, his hands clutching the eviction notice so tightly that the corners had crumpled under his grip. The bold red letters at the top burned into his vision. Final notice. 7 days to vacate. 3 months of unpaid rent. 7 days to pack up and leave. Or face legal eviction. At 33, Noah had thought losing his job was rock bottom, but life had a way of proving him wrong, digging the hole deeper with every passing day. 3 months ago, River Plate, the restaurant where he'd been sous chef for 5 years, had shuttered without warning. A tax lawsuit had hit the owners hard, no notice, no severance, just a locked door and a note taped to the glass. Noah had stood there in the February chill, his knife bag slung over his shoulder, feeling like the fragile scaffolding of his life had been yanked away in one cruel pull. He'd tried. God, how he'd tried. Job applications fired off into the void of online portals. Weekend delivery gigs that left his back aching and his old Honda Civic reeking of takeout. Selling his vintage guitar on Craigslist. Even parting with Claire's old camera, the one he'd sworn he'd keep forever as a piece of her. Cutting corners wherever he could, ramen noodles, eggs, canned beans. Borrowing once from his old friend Mike, then vowing never to ask again. But calculations crumbled when you were a single dad to a 7-year-old girl. Emma was asleep in the tiny bedroom down the hall, curled around her cream-colored stuffed rabbit, its ear frayed from years of love. She didn't know much about money yet, but she was sharp enough to notice the changes these past months. Dad staring at his phone longer than usual, going quiet when the mail arrived, lingering in the hallway before coming inside, as if gathering strength to face their little world. Noah didn't want her to know. This apartment was small, outdated, with walls so thin he could hear the neighbor's TV every Wednesday night. But it was the only place Emma had ever called home since Claire died. His wife had passed 3 years ago from postpartum heart complications, too fast, too senseless. Noah could still hear the flatline beep echoing in the hospital room, Emma's newborn cries from the NICU piercing the air as he signed the death certificate. From that day on, everything he did revolved around one goal: giving his daughter a safe place to grow up. And now he was about to lose even that. On it lay Emma's spelling workbook, an open box of crayons, and her latest drawing, 2 figures standing in front of a yellow house under a sun with smiling eyes. One was clearly Emma, small and pigtailed. The taller one had brown hair and an apron, him no doubt. At the bottom, in her wobbly script, "Home for me and Dad." His throat tightened. He stood crossed to the window and pulled aside the thin curtain. Rain blurred the parking lot below streetlights, reflecting in puddles on the slick asphalt. Up on the top floor, the penthouse lights glowed steadily. Vivian Mercer, the building owner, lived there. Noah had seen her around, but their interactions were brief. She was early 30s, always dressed neatly with a no-nonsense walk that said she knew exactly where she was headed and had no time to waste. Over the 2 years he'd lived here, their conversations had been limited to, "The elevator's out," "Your car's over the line," "Turner with her groceries." But tonight, with the rain pounding harder, Noah had no choice left. He glanced back at Emma's door, ensuring she was still asleep. Then he shrugged on his jacket, stuffed the notice into his pocket, and headed for the stairs. Each step upward felt like a heartbeat, heavy and deliberate. Standing before the dark wood penthouse door with its polished steel handle, Noah almost turned back. Then he thought of the drawing. He knocked. 10 seconds. 20. The lock clicked. Vivian Mercer stood there, wide awake in a cream sweater and dark pants, as if she'd been up for hours. She looked at him for a beat, then down at the crumpled paper peeking from his pocket. "You're from 2B, she said evenly. "Noah Bennett." Noah blinked, surprised she remembered his name. "Sorry to come this late," he said, his throat dry. I don't have much time left." Vivian studied him a moment longer. Then she stepped aside. "You look like a man standing on the edge, more than one coming to negotiate rent." And Noah knew as he crossed the threshold that this night was about to shift everything. The penthouse was a world apart from the rest of the building, not ostentatious, but refined, arranged by someone who'd lived alone too long, where every item had its precise place. Warm golden lights, shelves crammed with real books, not decor. A steaming mug sat beside an open laptop. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Atlanta's lights shimmered in the rain. Noah stood awkwardly near the sofa until Vivian gestured to the seat opposite hers. "Sit." He perched on the edge, back straight like a student in the principal's office. Vivian sat across legs crossed, her gaze sharp, but not unkind. Noah placed the notice on the coffee table between them. "I know I owe 3 months," he began. "I'm not dodging it. The restaurant shut down suddenly. I've been looking for work, had a few interviews, but I need more time, just a couple weeks. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I can't—" Vivian raised a hand, signaling him to stop. She picked up the notice, reading it slowly from top to bottom, then set it down. "3 months is a long time, Mr. Bennett." "I know. And you didn't come sooner because—" Noah gave a bitter half-smile. "Because I kept thinking next week I'd figure it out. Then the week after. Then one more." Vivian nodded as if that matched what she'd expected. "I can't just waive it," she said. "I run this building. It's not random charity." Noah felt a chill run down his spine. He started to stand. "I understand. Thanks for listening." "Sit down," Vivian said immediately. "I'm not done." He paused, then sat. For the first time since he'd entered, Vivian leaned forward slightly. "I live alone," she said. "I work most of the week. I come home late. I eat haphazardly. Some nights I don't want to talk to anyone, but I hate the silence enough to go mad. I also don't like strangers in my personal space." Noah didn't see where this was going, but he stayed silent. Vivian continued, "I know more about what kind of man you are than you think. I saw you fix the handrail on the 3rd floor last week. I saw you carry Mrs. Turner's groceries up the stairs when the elevator broke. I saw you always park in the inconvenient spot to leave the better ones for the elderly. You think no one notices, but I do." Noah blinked again. He'd never thought those small acts registered with anyone. They were just what you did. "So," Vivian said deliberately, "I want to propose a private arrangement." The room went still. Noah's grip tightened on his knees. Vivian kept her voice steady, almost too steady. "You help me with some things after hours. Groceries, organizing a few items, cooking dinner a couple nights a week. I don't need Michelin star meals, just decent food, and—" She paused, her eyes meeting his directly. "I want someone to eat with." Oh, Noah thought he'd misheard. "Eat with—" "I eat alone every night," Vivian replied. "And I'm tired of it." Noah didn't know if he felt relief or wariness. Part of him saw this as a lifeline. Another part sensed the offer was too intimate, too close to something beyond labor for rent. "That's all?" he asked. "No." Vivian leaned back. "I need you on time. I need discretion. I need you not to do things halfway. And most importantly, I need this to stay in this room." Noah stared at her for a long moment. "If I agree," he said slowly, "the rent, I'll clear the 3 months. Start fresh, as long as you hold up your end." Noah took a deep breath. His life right now didn't allow for much pride, but there was still something making him hesitate, the sense that stepping into this deal would tangle him in something far more complicated than cooking and errands. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Because you don't look at me like a wallet," she said. "And because I think you're trying to live decently while life treats you like crap." Noah's chest tightened. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside the penthouse, the silence between them was no longer polite. It was the silence of a door cracking open. Finally, Noah nodded. "Okay," he said. Vivian stood, went to the kitchen counter and poured 2 glasses of water. When she returned, she handed him one. "Tomorrow then," she said. 6 o'clock. Don't be late." Noah took the glass, his hand still slightly unsteady. As he left the penthouse that night, he had what he'd come up the stairs begging for more time. But deep down, he knew Vivian Mercer had just handed him something far more dangerous than a reprieve. She'd handed him away into her life, and perhaps into her heart as well. Noah arrived at the penthouse 5 minutes before 6. The next evening, Emma in tow because the usual babysitter had called last minute her son down with a fever. He'd almost texted to cancel, but Vivian's reply was curt. Bring her. It surprised him more than he wanted to admit. Emma stood beside him in the hallway, yellow coat on pigtails slightly uneven from his amateur braiding. She looked up at the door with a mix of curiosity and solemnity. Dad, you sure we're not bothering her? Noah squeezed her hand. Not sure about much lately, kiddo, but we'll try. Vivian opened before his second knock. She glanced down at Emma, paused, then said, So this is Emma. The girl peeked from behind Noah's leg, but managed politely, Hi, ma'am. Vivian arched a brow as if unused to such formality from kids. Hi, Emma. Do you like creamy pasta or grilled sandwiches? Emma blinked. I like both. Good, Vivian said. People who appreciate food are trustworthy. Noah nearly chuckled. The evening started with a thin layer of awkwardness that melted quicker than he expected. Vivian's kitchen was impeccably organized but lacked warmth. Noah figured out the knives, pans, and spices in 10 minutes. He whipped up pasta with garlic butter sauce, a simple salad, and sliced apples for Emma while she sat at the counter coloring with a set of pencils Vivian pulled from a drawer without fanfare. You have crayons? Emma asked. Vivian hesitated. From when I thought I'd have time for them. It was the first odd statement Noah caught from her brief unexplained, enough to hint that beneath her polished exterior lay a life not all straight lines. When the three sat at the table, Noah realized Vivian had meant it. She hated eating alone, not just the silence, but the absence of someone to share the day's trivialities. Emma chattered about her spelling test, the stray cat in the courtyard, how Dad burned toast twice that week and called it extra crispy edition. Vivian listened fully. She didn't feign kid-friendliness. She just paid attention. For Emma, that was enough. From one night to 3, then almost routine. Noah shopped, cooked a few meals weekly, fixed minor things, a leaky faucet reorganizing the storage closet. In return, the debt vanished as promised, but increasingly, the arrangement felt less like a transaction. Vivian set her laptop aside when he arrived. Emma raced ahead up the stairs on nights they went up. Noah started noticing her perfume before seeing her emerge from her home office. Then one Wednesday evening, things shifted. Noah had just cleared plates when his phone buzzed. A new restaurant in Midtown where he'd applied nearly 2 months back called for an interview. It should have been pure relief. Noah stood in Vivian's kitchen, phone in hand, but instead of exhaling, a small hollow opened in his chest. Vivian noticed immediately. Good news, she asked. Noah nodded. Interview. Could be full-time. Emma whooped first. Really, Dad? We don't have to worry anymore. Noah looked at her, forcing a smile. Looks that way. Vivian smiled, too measured. Congratulations. But that night, walking Emma back to 2B, the hallway felt longer. He unlocked their door, flipped the light, surveyed the cramped space, as if realizing it might not center his life anymore. These past weeks, he hadn't just saved the apartment. He'd stepped into the rhythm of a woman who'd kept the world at arm's length. And the scariest part, he wasn't sure he wanted to step out. The next morning, Emma munched cereal and asked casually, If you get the job, do we still have dinner with Miss Vivian? Noah held his coffee, no quick answer. She tilted her head. You like her, right? Noah laughed wearily. You're 7. Emma shrugged. 7, not blind. Noah watched her, then the window where pale sun slid over the courtyard puddles. He hadn't processed the reply yet, but deep down he knew one thing. This good news might escape the crisis, but it could start another kind of loss. He got the job right after the Friday interview. The copper fig paid better with insurance steady shifts. Head chef shook his hand. I like cooks who make food that reminds people of home. Noah should have felt unburdened. He did partly. The rest sat in his old car in the lot staring at his phone before texting Vivian. Got it, she replied instantly. Good. Celebrate tonight. 6:30. No arguments. One short message, and Noah smiled alone like a fool. That evening, Vivian ordered Thai opened wine she'd saved for a worthy occasion. Emma got soda in a stemmed glass, feeling very grown up. The three sat, laughed, talked like a makeshift family no one dared name. As Noah and Emma rose to leave, the air changed. Emma darted ahead to the elevator, leaving them by the door. Thanks, Noah said softly. For everything. Vivian shook her head. Don't make me the hero here. I had selfish reasons. Noah frowned. Vivian met his eyes, no evasion, no deflection. Like not wanting you to disappear from this. The words hit his chest like a sweet blade, precise, undeniable. He stepped closer. Vivian, don't, she whispered, but not to stop. I know it's complicated. People have seen you up here often. If this crosses lines publicly, there'll be talk. Noah saw her hands at her sides, composed but clenched. So you mean don't say it? I mean I'm tired of always being cautious. Vivian exhaled slowly. But I don't want to drag you into mess. The moment pulled them nearer. Noah raised his hand slowly, giving her space to pull back. But Vivian didn't. His palm touched her cheek. Warm. Their first kiss came like something long waiting, gentle, not rushed. An acknowledgement of all that had grown in those dinner's conversations, Emma's laughter, the city lights beyond the glass. When they parted, Vivian closed her eyes briefly. Opening them, her gaze glistened. This won't be simple, she murmured. Noah nodded. I know. But he'd underestimated not simple. Rumors spread 3 days later, odd looks in the hallway, whispers halting near the mailboxes, Mrs. Turner nodding curtly instead of her usual chatty hello. Vivian texted him to come up urgently after Emma's bedtime. When Noah arrived, she opened immediately, face composed in a way that screamed tension. Someone reported to the board. She said no preamble. Harriet Coleman, residence chair. Noah froze. Reported what? That I'm exploiting my position with a struggling tenant. Vivian's tone was flat, icy. She thinks our deal's opaque, coercive, and now a personal relationship proves it. Noah's anger surged. That's not true. Doesn't matter. Vivian turned to the window. On paper, I waived 3 months' rent. You come up often. Now you and I... She trailed off. Noah got it. To outsiders, it twisted ugly, wealthy landlord, desperate tenant. Power, dependency, trade-offs. A fierce rage boiled in him. I'll explain. Vivian spun back. No. If you defend me now, they'll say it's because you owe me. Noah's jaw clenched. Then what? Vivian silent for breathless seconds. Then softly, maybe I end all legal ties between us, completely. Noah didn't grasp fully, but her eyes told him Vivian Mercer had decided something huge, and this time she wouldn't let anyone turn their feelings into something shameful. The emergency residence meeting happened Monday evening in the ground floor common room. Noah had never seen it so packed. Half the building there, some curious, some concerned, some for front-row scandal seats. Harriet Coleman stood front back, rigid voice, clear, thick file before her. She recited ethical concerns like a prosecutor, unemployed tenant, 3 months debt, private deal, frequent visits, now romance. Noah sat mid-row, air thinning. He wanted to stand tell truth, that no coercion, Vivian, only one treating him human, these months not overdue bill. But he remembered her words speaking would worsen it. Vivian's turn. She rose in charcoal dress, hair low face, serene but shoulders tense. True, she said. I offered debt waiver for personal help. I take full responsibility, but no coercion, no threats, no exploitation. Harriet interrupted. You hold housing power. in that his consent's always questionable. Then, she said, placing papers before Harriet, let's remove power imbalance entirely. Room hushed. Harriet opened file. Her face stiffened page by page. Noah didn't understand till Vivian turned to him, her voice steady but emotion underneath for first time that night. This morning, she said, I completed transferring apartment 2B ownership to Noah Bennett, filed with City. It's his now. Chaos erupted. Murmurs exploded. Man in back nearly dropped phone. Mrs. Turner gasped. Mr. Baxter whistled low. Noah sat utterly still. He hadn't known. Vivian did this without word. Harriet looked up pale with fury. Can't bypass review with property transfer. Not bypassing, Vivian replied. Exercising legal right as owner. From this morning, Noah Bennett no longer my tenant. No landlord-tenant He just watched Vivian alone, facing dozens, calmly defending them by giving him what he hadn't dared dream. A real home. When room cleared, Noah caught Vivian in hallway. Dim yellow lights, old paint smell, distant elevator ding. Vivian. She turned. Noah close, but seconds to speak. You gave me the apartment. Vivian looked composure cracking. Fatigue, raw honesty remained. Gave you what no one can take, she said. Won't let people use housing to cheapen us. Noah's throat burned. But that's too much. No. Vivian stepped closer. Too much is you living months fearing lose only place your daughter calls home. Too much is people thinking right twist real feelings dirty. Voice trembled first time. Won't let Emma pay for adult whispers. His daughter's name stung Noah's eyes. He took her hand. Vivian. Deep breath. I love you. This time, no hesitation. Hallway noise receded. Vivian closed eyes second. Opening depths glistened. I love you too, she whispered. Think I did before allowing admit it. Noah pulled her close amid building hall where it all started. Eviction notice, open door, rainy night. 3 weeks later, hire committee dismissed charges. Vivian's records clean, transfer legal, case closed. Harriet resigned chair soon after, not remorse, but unwilling lose. And Noah started new job finances, steady waking first-time years without dread of loss. Emma embraced changes kid way. When Noah explained 2B truly theirs, she hugged tight, asked next instantly, So Miss Vivian still come dinner? Noah smiled, eyes stinging. Maybe not just dinner. 6 months on, Vivian spent more time down 2B than Noah and Emma up penthouse. Year later, Noah proposed on small balcony by window, where Emma drew original picture. Simple ring, Emma as witness. They married quietly, Emma flower girl in yellow dress. New life. Noah cooked family meals. Vivian cut work for time together. Emma had stepmom who loved fiercely. Noah reflected journey from eviction brink to joy, realizing end was door to what he'd lost, thought gone forever, in different form, and more beautiful than imagined. Rumors spread 3 days later, odd looks in the hallway, whispers halting near the mailboxes, Mrs. Turner nodding curtly instead of her usual chatty hello. Vivian texted him to come up urgently after Emma's bedtime. When Noah arrived, she opened immediately, face composed, in a way that screamed tension. Someone reported to the board. She said no preamble. Harriet Coleman, residence chair. Noah froze. Reported what? That I'm exploiting my position with a struggling tenant. Vivian's tone was flat icy. She thinks our deal's opaque, coercive, and now a personal relationship proves it. Noah's anger surged. On paper, I waived 3 months' rent. You come up often. Now you and I... She trailed off. Noah got it. To outsiders, it twisted ugly, wealthy, landlord, desperate tenant. Power, dependency, trade-offs. A fierce rage boiled in him. I'll explain. Vivian spun back. No, if you defend me now, they'll say it's because you owe me. Noah's jaw clenched. Then what? Vivian silent for breathless seconds. Then softly, maybe I end all legal ties between us. Completely. Noah didn't grasp fully, but her eyes told him Vivian Mercer had decided something huge, and this time she wouldn't let anyone turn their feelings into something shameful. The emergency residence meeting happened Monday evening in the ground floor common room. Noah had never seen it so packed. Half the building there, some curious, some concerned, some for front-row scandal seats. She recited ethical concerns like a prosecutor, unemployed tenant, 3 months debt private deal, frequent visits now romance. Noah sat mid-row, air thinning. He wanted to stand tell truth that no coercion, Vivian, only one treating him human, these months not overdue bill. But he remembered her words speaking would worsen it. Vivian's turn. She rose in charcoal dress, hair low, face serene but shoulders tense. True, she said. I offered debt waiver for personal help. I take full responsibility. But no coercion, no threats, no exploitation. Harriet interrupted. You hold housing power. In that his consent's always questionable. Vivian nodded, anticipating. Then, she said, placing papers before Harriet, let's remove power imbalance entirely. Room hushed. Harriet opened file. Her face stiffened page by page. Noah didn't understand till Vivian turned to him, her voice steady but emotion underneath for first time that night. This morning, she said, I completed transferring apartment 2B ownership to Noah Bennett, filed with city, it's his now. Chaos erupted, murmurs exploded, man in back nearly dropped phone. Mrs. Turner gasped. Mr. Baxter whistled low. Noah sat utterly still. He hadn't known. Vivian did this without word. Harriet looked up pale with fury. Can't bypass review with property transfer. Not bypassing, Vivian replied. Exercising legal right as owner. From this morning, Noah Bennett no longer my tenant. No landlord-tenant relation. No dependency on housing. Your inquiry at core baseless. Meeting dragged 40 more minutes, but Noah heard little. Ears rang. He just watched Vivian alone, facing dozens, calmly defending them by giving him what he hadn't dared dream, a real home. When room cleared, Noah caught Vivian in hallway. Dim yellow lights, old paint smell, distant elevator. Gave me the apartment. Vivian looked composure cracking. Fatigue, raw honesty remained. Gave you what no one can take, she said. Won't let people use housing to cheapen us. Noah's throat burned. But that's too much. No. Vivian stepped closer. Too much is you living months fearing lose only place your daughter calls home. Too much is people thinking right twist real feelings dirty. Voice trembled first time. Won't let Emma pay for adult whispers. His daughter's name stung Noah's eyes. He took her hand. Vivian. Deep breath. I love you. This time no hesitation. Hallway noise receded. Vivian closed eyes second. Opening depths glistened. I love you too, she whispered. Think I did before allowing admit it. Noah pulled her close amid building hall where it all started. Eviction note. Harriet resigned chair soon after, not remorse but unwilling lose. And Noah started new job finances steady waking first-time years without dread of loss. Emma embraced changes kidway. When Noah explained to be truly theirs, she hugged tight, asked next instantly, So Miss Vivian still come dinner? Noah smiled, eyes stinging. Maybe not just dinner. 6 months on Vivian spent more time down 2B than Noah and Emma up penthouse. Year later, Noah proposed on small balcony by window where Emma drew original picture. Simple ring. Emma as witness. They married quietly. Emma flower girl in yellow dress. New life. Noah cooked family meals. Vivian cut work for time together. Emma had stepmom who loved fiercely. Noah reflected journey from eviction brink to joy, realizing end was door to what he'd lost, thought gone forever. In different form. Vivian's financial records were impeccable, the property transfer fully legal. No grounds for further inquiry. Harriet resigned as board chair, not long after, not out of regret Noah suspected, but because she couldn't stomach the defeat. And Noah. He dove into the new job at the Copper Fig, the steady pay and benefits a balm after months of scraping by. For the first time in years, he woke without the knot of dread in his gut, wondering if today was the day everything fell apart. Mornings meant packing Emma's lunch, walking her to the bus stop, then heading to a kitchen where his skills mattered again. Evenings brought the simple rhythm of home that was truly his now papers signed and sealed. Emma took the changes in stride the way only kids can. When Noah sat her down to explain that 2B was theirs forever, no more worries about moving, she threw her arms around his neck, squeezing tight. But her next question came instantly with that 7-year-old directness. So does that mean Miss Vivian still comes for dinner? Noah smiled, his eyes stinging just a bit. Maybe not just for dinner, kiddo. In the months that followed, Vivian spent more time downstairs in 2B than Noah and Emma ventured up to the penthouse. At first, it was practical easier for Emma's bedtime routine, less lugging toys and clothes between floors, but soon it felt natural. Vivian's laptop migrated to the dining table where Emma's drawings once dominated. Her neat stacks of files appeared on the bookshelf beside Noah's cookbooks. Evenings blurred into family time, Noah cooking while Vivian helped Emma with homework, the three of them laughing over pasta or grilled cheese, the small apartment filling with a warmth it hadn't known since Claire. Noah watched it unfold with a quiet awe. Vivian, so guarded at first, softened around Emma, reading bedtime stories with dramatic voices, braiding her hair far better than he ever could, even joining in on crayon sessions that left the table a rainbow mess. And with him, the intimacy grew in stolen moments, a hand on his back as he stirred sauce, a shared glance over Emma's head during movie nights, late whispers in the dim living room after she fell asleep. It wasn't perfect. Whispers lingered in the building, curious stares in the laundry room, awkward elevator silences. But Noah learned to let them slide off his back. What mattered was this: a woman who'd given him not just a roof, but roots. And in return, he'd given her the chaos of real life, the sticky fingerprints on her once pristine counters, the sound of a child's laughter echoing through her silent world. 6 months in, Vivian essentially moved down. Her penthouse became more office than home, its vast windows overlooking the city now just a backdrop for work calls. 2B cramped as it was pulsed with life, Emma's school projects on the fridge, Vivian's books mingling with Noah's knives in the kitchen drawers, the three of them squeezing onto the sofa for game nights. A year after that rainy night knock, Noah knew it was time. He chose the small balcony off the living room, the one overlooking the courtyard where Emma played on sunny afternoons. It was the spot by the window where she'd drawn that first picture, the one that had pushed him up those stairs in desperation. Now, with Emma as his secret accomplice, he planned its simple string lights twinkling, her favorite Thai takeout, waiting inside a ring he'd saved for months tucked in his pocket. Emma bounced with excitement, sworn to secrecy, but giggling every 5 minutes. When Vivian arrived after work, Noah let her out, the city lights flickering beyond the railing. "What's this?" she asked, smiling but curious. Noah took her hand, heart pounding harder than that first night at her door. "Vivian," he started, voice steady despite the nerves. "A year ago I came to you on the edge of losing everything. You didn't just give me time, you gave me a future. You gave Emma a family. And you gave me... you." He knelt, pulling out the box. The ring was modest, a thin band with a single diamond, but it caught the light like a promise. "Will you marry me?" Vivian's eyes widened, hand flying to her mouth. For a second she was silent, the composed woman he'd first met cracking open to reveal the vulnerability beneath. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, pulling him up. "Yes, Noah." Emma burst from inside, cheering, throwing confetti she'd made from shredded paper. They laughed, hugged, the three of them tangled in joy under those lights. The wedding was quiet, a small ceremony in a Atlanta park that spring with close friends Mrs. Turner beaming from the front row, and Emma as flower girl in a yellow dress that matched her coat from that first penthouse night. No extravagance, just vows exchanged under blooming dogwoods, promising to choose each other through the storms they'd already weathered. Their new life settled like a well-worn recipe, Noah thriving in the kitchen at Copperfig Vivian, scaling back her hours to balance work and home. Emma blossoming with two parents who showed her love wasn't fragile. Mornings of rushed breakfasts, evenings of shared stories, weekends exploring the city simple but profound. Noah often reflected on the journey, especially on rainy nights when the sound against the window took him back. From that eviction brink to this, a home not just owned but filled. He'd thought it was the end, 7 days from homelessness. But it was the beginning. A door cracked open in desperation, leading to everything he'd lost with Claire, rebuilt in ways he hadn't imagined. Sometimes watching Vivian tuck Emma in, or feeling her hand in his during quiet moments, Noah understood life didn't hand out fairy tales. But it offered second chances if you were brave enough to knock. Vivian had saved him not with money, but with trust, and he'd given her the family she'd quietly yearned for, in a different shape, and far more beautiful than either had dreamed.